I want to do a series of videos where I just show Angelus Leather Dye on pieces of wood. So what I've done is I've grabbed red and I've diluted half of it in the neutral with a 50-50 mix into this cup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these figured pieces of wood. I've got just plain maple and a heavily figured piece. So what I'm going to do is put the red and red on each, and then the half diluted, and then sand, and show you what the different colors look like and how you get the most out of the wood using these leather dyes. So we'll start with the half red first. Get an old t-shirt to soak up. That's the half red. Apply it on the top here. I'm putting this on really thick to show you guys how this works out. Slight figuring in this piece. We'll go back and put on one more coat. It's really, really thick. Put it on really thick. And when you're playing with this stuff, you don't want it to pull up. That's a huge mistake. So what we'll do is we'll take the piece, get a clean cloth, and wipe off any of the excess here. You can see it pulls off a decent amount. If you leave it on, you can get splotches, which are a huge pain. Alright. Take another rag, go straight out of the bottle here. And this should really affect the figured piece. Should be significantly darker. On first blush, doesn't look that much darker. I'd say it's more red, diluted, not diluted, diluted, not diluted. This actually looks more rosish. This is more reddish. Again, we'll put a second coat on. You can see the grain lines are much darker in the full red than the half. You can see it's actually just redder, and this is a lighter red. I thought it actually would be a little bit darker. Alright, so we'll let this sit. We'll let this dry. We'll come back and I'll play with the coloring a little bit and see what we can do. We'll wipe off some of this excess a little bit too. So let this sit for a couple hours, let it dry out, and see what happens when it's dry. Alright, so we're about 4 hours dry, and you can see how much darker this red is, the full red versus the thinned red. When I was putting it on, I was a little worried that I wouldn't see a big difference. And you can actually see how much darker the full red is versus the lightened red. And you can see just a little bit of splotching here where I went on too thick. It's not too bad in the figured piece. And what's really cool about the figured piece is how much darker the red is. So it actually looks like you put black on first and then added the color if you just go with the straight color. So in the plain maple, a little bit of splotchiness. The red looks pretty good here. In the figured maple, no splotchiness with the thin red. So the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to sand down with 320 and clean it off and show you how to do that sand back method. And we'll just show you what half sand it is. So I'll sand here for a couple minutes and see what this looks like, and then you can see what red looks like as I sand back. So after sanding here, you can see the huge difference between the diluted red and the red straight from the bottle. Even on the figured board, a lot darker, lighter. So next thing I'm going to do for you guys is take a little bit of the wipe on poly, minwax wipe on poly. This is the whitest finish you can buy. Doesn't have any yellow in it. And we'll just rub this on both sides. So I didn't wipe it, picking up a little bit of the dye. You can just see what this looks like with a coat of something on it. And again, you can see the huge difference between the light red and the dark red, and you can see what it does even in this figured piece. We'll hit the figured piece the same way. Not as much difference, I think, in the figured board. I think the grain changes slightly, but you can see how cool the red is, half sanded back with the grain line showing. Much more prominent figure here. That actually looks pretty cool. If you put on the red real thick, you can get sort of a red and white, sort of candy stripe look. This is actually more pink, and this is actually red and white. So that's actually pretty cool. That would be a worthwhile guitar body, to do as much heavy red as you can in a figured piece of maple and then sand it back. That is an interesting finish, considering this is a 5A maple figured board. So do a whole series on these guys. This is Angelus Red Leather Dye, full bottle and 50% strength diluted. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next vid.